we will be talking about how to move from 2D drawings to a fully integrated 3D store design solution. Our next presentation highlights how JYSK has implemented advanced BIM tools to optimize store design processes and thereby established a more efficient and, of course, accurate approach to data management, and how this transformation has equipped JYSK for the future of store design. Please help me welcome the team manager for store design at JYSK, Jeanette Verdelin.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit more about store design. You can say the future of store design is a pretty big topic, but at least this is our take on it and how we wanted to design our program to fit with JYSK. So first of all, just a little bit about JYSK, because maybe some of you don't know who we are. We are a family-owned furnishing retailer with Scandinavian roots. We have 3,500 stores, physical stores, around the world in 48 countries. And we employ about 31,000 people. We are part of Lars Larsen Group, which is the family Brunsborg, the founder of JYSK, who owns all of these different retailers. And we also have an investment part that they are growing rapidly. In JYSK, we believe in physical stores, and the curve of stores has been going very upwards in many years. And we believe that being close to the customer and being able to have smaller stores closer is the right way to go. Tomorrow we open country number 49 with 2 stores in Morocco, and we are very excited about that. In connection with trying to make our founder's dream, he had a dream of 5,000 JYSK stores in the world. And we wanted to do this for him. And in connection with that, we decided, our executive management team decided to merge Danish Bed & Lager and JYSK into one JYSK. And we went to think about our concepts. What are we doing? And with them now merged, we would have to do one brand, one JYSK, one concept. How do we do this? Because there's a lot of concepts. We had variations and had to decide where to put our energy to make sure that we accurately represented JYSK. And they did a lot of analysis on this, and they went with our store concept 3.0, which is the current concept we are now implementing in our stores. And just to give a little introduction to store concept 3.0, we decided that we had to think more about the customer journey. We did that before in our old concepts, but the trends within home furnishings really show that we need to be more inspiring and give our customers the better product presentation. And this is where Store Concept 3.0 really emphasized on our products and the product presentation. And then meant us starting to think about lights, sound, and how to include this. Yeah. So we went, okay, we go Store Concept 3.0. We have 2,400 stores that are not 3.0. And we want to implement this fast. We want to do it within a specific time frame, as we had to do the brand recognition for JYSK. So we went very ambitious and wanted to do a lot of store activities each year, because we decided that we would do all these stores in 3 years. So with a team of 12, 13 people, we would make 700 to 800 stores every year. And we knew we would have to be smarter in how we were working with our store layouts, because how to do this very rapid increase in store layouts. So we went out with the old, in with the new thinking, and we knew that we had to invest in a program where it could help us to save time when creating all of the lists, all the data maintenance that we were doing for our layouts. We would manually calculate, we would print layouts, we would draw, we would cross out the different segments, and we would type in Excel. And we knew that this was where we could really get some time back. So how would we go about speeding up this process? We had a dream of one button. We could press one button, and then it would all be calculated for us. And that was a big dream, and we went on a hunt and found great people, Jonas and Nikolai, who helped us to create this. Because in JYSK, we always have a rule, but we also have exceptions to these rules, and we needed the program to understand that. So we did everything kind of backwards, is what I have found out. We have a very large Excel sheet with all our inventory in it. And it's about 4,000 lines. And we thought, okay, maybe not redesign the entire Excel. We need to make the program fit Excel instead. So they actually needed a Revit to draw and count manually for us, but automatically. So we had to make the modules count as if we were counting manually, so we didn't have to go in and recreate everything. This is also about our recognition of processes my team already knew. So what we would do when something did not fit, because of course that happened, we have elements that is not drawn on the layout, but it still needs to be there to build the store. And how would we do that? Then we would go into Excel and we would create formulas that would help us recognize when these things were needed. And this was our main driver when deciding on this program. But of course, we had other drivers that we needed to do this, and things we wanted to make sure was implemented, otherwise it would not work for us at JYSK. So the first one is all-in-one template. And let's dive into that. So we were drawing in AutoCAD LT. And we already started with having these allocations pre-made, where we were not in doubt what we were using for the specific country. And it was all in one template. And that's what we wanted again. We wanted to be able to place the modules we needed for that specific country, but we didn't want to have to maintain a template for each country, because sometimes we would implement elements that would be global. And then we didn't want to go into having to maintain 48 different templates. That's too much. And that's where our start button, as we call it, really did a good job for us. So we will fill out which store-specific elements we have, like country, what types of floors we need for this specific store. We will fill out all of these things, and then it will create the modules we need. So we don't have an option to put something wrong in our stores. It creates it for us, so we don't have to think about that. And that's really great. And on top of that, we were really lucky to get the 3D part, because that has become an icing on the cake for us. We do all our layouts in 2D, or seeing them in 2D, but we use the 3D when we have very special locations, because we do have very special locations. Sometimes we rent. We rent our premises. We don't build ourselves. So we don't always have control over what it looks like. And that's where it's really nice for my store design team to be able to dive into what does it look like in 3D. Can you see the things that you're expecting to see? When the customer is entering this space, do you see what you want them to see? And since we will have to implement this program so fast to keep up with our promise of redesigning 2,400 stores, and then on top of that, we also have an ambition to keep growing, and we need to open more stores, we had to make it look and feel kind of like what my team was already used to working with. I have a design team who really is hired to work with concepts that are standard, and then they have to be able to recognize what they're doing to have this like seamless transition into Revit. And that was also one of the tasks that I gave to Nicolai and Jonas, that I wanted a simplified transition into Revit, making sure that my team would be able to use it quickly. Yes. Then we have another thing, the lights, the bright lights. We needed to talk about the lights as we have multiple suppliers of lighting. The lights were still fairly new to us. We were learning how to design light within our stores, and we like to have full autonomy on it and decide what we wanted to do. So that's why we took it in-house. We decided that our team could easily do these lighting plans. But the thing about lighting is there are so many different articles used to mount lighting. There's endless combinations of these different articles. And we needed Revit to support us in that. The layout had to accurately show what type of ceiling is in this store. What is the ceiling height? Is there a wire distance? The wire distance can differ from the different ceiling types. And Revit needed to be able to recognize this and calculate which different articles they needed to mount all our lighting tracks. And on top of that, we had this reuse policy that Revit also needed to be able to support, because we didn't want to throw away good products that could easily be reused and have more life. So this gave us an opportunity to streamline our output of lighting plans. We didn't have that before we started using Revit. And also to produce something which is easier for an electrician to read and understand what is required of him to mount all the lighting. So the streamlined lighting output was a big gain from us, that we had the Revit calculate everything and make our layouts look the same. The last and one of the most important to us was the maintenance skills. And this is, we like to be able to make adjustments ourselves. In JYSK, we do a lot of adaptations, and when we want them implemented, it was yesterday. Therefore, we needed to be able to do all of these updates ourselves. And even though we have a concept to follow, it is not one size fits all always. There's always exceptions, as I said to begin with. And therefore, we decided to create a super user team that could dive into the behind-the-scenes elements of Revit and our customized elements. And that's because our concept development of new fixtures needed to support also simplifying the drawing process. And this is where we included our supplier and had Nikolai train our super user team, so that they could be, how can you say, they were ready to be able to make these adjustments whenever we decided to do something new. So we wouldn't have to rely on external support for this. And having this Revit maintenance in-house, it also supported like our way of working with Revit and Excel, because understanding how to build it not only in Revit but also to build it in Excel, so that we could continue with this connection of a manual way of ordering without being manual. So we could be ready for any future projects that we would have to take on. And talking about future, what's in the future for us with this? And we want to go beyond just store design. We have a department for real estate who are finding and maintaining all our premises or the contracts of premises. And we see huge potential in gathering more data in one location so that our store layouts can support real estate in their work, how it will be possible for us to data collect in one location and use the ACC, the Autodesk collaboration, to get to this point. And this is something we are currently working at. We are in the very beginning of this process, so we're still looking into it. But we see a lot of interesting opportunities with this, where like a complete overview of cost management, while store data collection when it comes to sending out new inventory. And we can file share like across the internal platform and still be able to give our external suppliers access to all of our material, or the material we want them to be able to have access to, would simplify our way of working, and everybody would be working with the newest updated versions all the time. So this is a very exciting process that we are currently working at, and I think this is it from me. Thank you.
Everyday exercise is the most important exercise of all exercise. I did that on purpose just to get my blood flowing.
Yeah, but that's good, isn't it?
So you mentioned upskilling and training teams and sort of increase competencies in-house. What specific competencies and skills have you been focusing on in order to do this internally?
Well, it's of course been training them in understanding the behind works of Revit, and that they understand the way that Revit was built for us, because it is not a standardized product that we have. It is specially constructed for us. So understanding how to maintain and add to this really was the main focus. Yes, it was.
Were they happy to be part of that training? And you guys went, come on, let's do some Revit training. Were they like, yay? Or
well, again, as I said, I have a team of people who like stability, and I think that they graciously took on this task. Of course, it was a process, but today we're at a time where they would never want to go back. So I think this is...
But there's a learning. I'm joking about it, but still there's a learning in that. Resistance when it comes to new practices is, of course, something that you have to take into consideration, be humble about, but then also here's a live witness saying things will turn around.
Yeah.
Right?
Truly, yeah.
The process then of developing the project overall, as such, what are your thoughts on that now that you've sort of done it, and where perhaps what's the next step perhaps?
Yeah, so the developing process was quite interesting. I was almost having as much time at our supplier as I had at my own job in JYSK. I spent just as much time with them developing the program as I did back in my office doing my other work. And it was a very, very nice and smooth process where all of my ideas was taken very much under consideration, and I was told exactly what was possible and what wasn't. And that also helped me to understand how to keep developing on it, which was a very interesting process. Yeah.
Managing data and design collaborations across departments, then, do you see BIM as being a part of a success when it comes to that as well, internally?
Yeah, for sure, because there's so many possibilities and there's endless ways of doing it and putting it together. And I think that it's just a matter of having, there's no limitations, you know, if you can dream it, you can make it. And I believe 100% that we can do so much more than we're already doing, but we are starting somewhere, and this is where we started. But yeah, the collaboration between us and real estate, to take that back, could really benefit from this also in terms of data maintenance. Yes, for sure.
So plenty of good stuff to take away from that. Thank you so much for being with us.